Welcome back to The Explainer. So, right at this very second, whether you realize it or not, you are relying on this massive, invisible scaffolding that completely powers our modern digital lives. Today, we're diving into the ultimate blueprint. We're looking at the architect of global connectivity, the exact system that took humanity from being a bunch of disconnected islands to one fully unified globe.
5.4 billion. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. Over 2/3 of the entire human population is actively, right at this exact moment, beaming thoughts, streaming videos, and processing transactions through a vast, invisible network. It's a scale that is honestly almost too massive to wrap our heads around.
Which naturally brings us to the biggest question of all. How did we get here? Seriously, how did we go from sending physical letters on horseback to instantly transmitting high-definition video across entire oceans? Well, getting there required one of the absolute greatest collaborative engineering feats in human history.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, the fragmented early world. To really grasp how brilliant the solution was, we kind of have to rewind and look at the early computing era. Back then, it wasn't a web at all. It was more like a dark ocean dotted with these tiny, totally isolated islands. A localized mainframe in California had literally no way of whispering code to a computer in New York. The gap between those isolated, manufacturer-specific networks and the seamless global web we know today, it was a massive technological canyon.
And look, this fragmentation wasn't just some minor inconvenience. It was the ultimate communication barrier, a profound roadblock to human progress. Imagine trying to build a sprawling, vibrant city where every single neighborhood spoke a completely different language. And worse, there were absolutely no connecting roads between them. You could literally have a cure for a disease in one building, and the hospital right next door would never even know.
Which brings us to Section 2, drafting the master blueprint.
We desperately needed a translator. Basically, we needed a highway system for data. To solve this absolute crisis of communication, visionary minds realized they needed a shared language. Enter the protocol. A protocol is just a foundational set of rules governing how data is exchanged between totally diverse devices. Think of TCP/IP. It was the Eureka blueprint that finally said, hey, it doesn't matter who built your hardware, as long as you follow these rules, you can join the conversation.
Now, that shared language relied on three core blueprints that were, frankly, ingenious. First up, packet switching, which means breaking data down into tiny, manageable pieces. Second, decentralized routing. This was huge. It ensured there was no single point of failure, so if one path is blocked, the data just finds another way around. And third, universal addressing, giving every single machine its own unique identity, so the data knows exactly where it's supposed to go.
Moving right along to Section 3, overcoming technical barriers.
Because having a brilliant theory on paper is one thing, but building it in the real world is an entirely different ballgame. Here's how that friction of the build phase actually plays out in practice. Step 1, you chop the data into packets. Step 2, you route those packets through the best available nodes. Step 3, you reassemble them perfectly at the destination. It's kind of like, you don't send a whole house down the highway, right? You send the bricks on different trucks, taking different routes to avoid traffic, and then you just rebuild the house at the destination.
Connecting those very first nodes, like the early ARPANET links, was a really iterative and sometimes frustrating process. Laying down this digital foundation was exactly like placing the first physical bricks of a transcontinental bridge. Every single connection was a test. Every successful data transfer between two university campuses was this monumental victory, proving that yes, this digital bridge could actually hold weight.
Now for Section 4, scaling to global proportions.
Once that foundation was proven to be solid, things absolutely exploded. The network stopped being this quirky science experiment and rapidly became the central nervous system of planet Earth. The acceleration was wild. In 1969, we get our very first node. Fast forward to 1983, a unified protocol is established. By 1989, the web is officially born. And then in the 2000s, just a massive, rapid expansion of physical cables. In just a few decades, we went from two computers saying hello to an inextricably linked planet.
Okay, but here is a fact that totally shatters a major illusion we all kind of have. When we think of the internet, we usually think of the cloud, invisible signals floating around in the air. Yet 99% of global traffic actually travels through submarine cables. Only 1% is satellite.
So the cloud, it's actually deeply tangible architecture lying right there on the cold, dark seafloor. Crazy, right?
Let's bring it back to you with Section 5, Your Connected Life Today. Let's bring this grand, sweeping history right down into the palm of your hand. Your casual daily habits trigger this massive infrastructure constantly. Streaming a movie? That relies on content delivery networks positioned right near your city. Sending a quick text? That relies entirely on that brilliant packet switching we talked about. And just browsing a foreign website sends your request literally diving into those submarine nodes and popping back up in milliseconds. It's a completely seamless reality. Honestly, the ultimate impact of the architect's blueprint is its invisibility. The very fact that you are effortlessly watching this explainer right now without a second thought about the millions of miles of cables, routers, and protocols working flawlessly together just to deliver my voice to your ears, well, that is the greatest testament to this technology.
Finally, Section 6. What connects us next?
Because, architecture is never really finished, it just gets built upon. As we look past the cables and the protocols, we really have to consider the ongoing evolution of this incredible human achievement. As one of our sources notes, the internet is a reflection of our society, and that mirror is going to get deeper. This architecture is no longer just about plugging machines together. It is actively shaping how we communicate, how we govern, and how we understand ourselves as a species. So I'll leave you with this. Where does your digital footprint end? Every click, every stream, every single message you send is a permanent brick being added to this massive ongoing architecture. You aren't just using this global network, you are actively building it every single day. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.